Welcome, everybody.
Cece's laughing at our intro.
Oh. Hey, got to start off with a bang, right? But welcome, everybody, to another edition of Recruiters with No Limits Live. We talk about cutting-edge staffing stuff all the time. And I got my sidekick here, John Ruffini, my co-host. What's up, John?
What's happening, everybody? I'm great. How are you, Richard?
Real good. And our special guest this week is Cece Clark from South Carolina, HR partner. How you doing?
Good. How are you? How are you?
Good. Real good. So welcome aboard here. We're going to have some fun today for the next 30 minutes. But we're going to start off with our famous or almost famous June job report. So I'm going to pull this up here for you guys to look at. What do you think, John? I mean, here we go again. 850,000 jobs, man. That was a good thing.
That was a very good thing, and it was great to see. I am really, really happy to see leisure and hospitality really coming back strong because they, admittedly, I think we all agree, they got hit probably the hardest during COVID, and it's good to see them coming back. I am curious to get both you and Cece's take, though, because there were 850,000 jobs added, but the jobless number was also extremely high. People are still, people still can't find people to do work. There's lots of still help wanted signs out there. And what are you seeing out there, Cece? Are you seeing any difficulty finding people in the marketplace today, or what kind of reactions are you seeing?
Well, okay. So to be honest, what's going on right now, what I'm seeing across the board, it's very hard to find the right fit. And the biggest reason why that is because the pandemic has taught us so much about life. Like, I feel that it's so much more than just a paycheck. Now it's more of like, am I the right fit? Am I going to work for a good leader? Am I going to work for a good organization? It's so much more than just money after the pandemic that it's taken us so much longer for us to find the right fit. And that's why maybe there is these numbers, because while there's a lot of open jobs, well, people are taking more time making sure that it's the right decision.
That's a very good point. So it's people are being more picky. So it's not as they're willing to wait, if you will, for the right environment, for the right opportunity, because hey, life's too short, and they don't want to be settling for something. That's a very, very good point. So it's not so much that they don't necessarily want to work, but some of them want to work, but they just want to take their time and get the right thing, and they're willing to wait.
Exactly. Yeah. And maybe some of it's because of the stimulus money too. We got to figure that in too. I mean, there's a lot of states out there giving benefits till after Labor Day. So you always got to say that, right, John? You know me on that.
Well, if you've got an income stream of some sort, then it gives you a little bit more flexibility, right? So you can take your time and evaluate. If you don't have the income stream, then the sense of urgency is heightened tremendously. So you're absolutely right, Richard.
Exactly. And I see one that's really not gaining much leverage is construction, which is shocking because of all the different prices and lumber and stuff. You see construction is down right now.
Well, why is that?
Do you think? Sorry, Cece. I didn't mean to talk at the same time. Richard, so you're closer to that world than I am from a recruiting perspective. Could it be, are you seeing that construction firms are not able to hire as much because the cost of doing business has gone up so much?
I think it's the cost of business and the products. It's taken too long to get the products over here. I mean, they're delayed on shingles and everything. Everything's back ordered. You try to go get a refrigerator now, it's about 9 weeks to 10 weeks out. I mean, so can you imagine building a house and you have all these weeks you got to wait?
It's amazing. Everything from cars to refrigerators. When you look at, how many car companies, you go to a car lot now and it's sparse. There's not a lot on there because everybody's missing the chip now because the chip production's halted. There are still countries around the world that we're dependent on for certain products that are still in lockdown, which is nuts.
So what exactly is the barrier? I mean, honestly, what is it? Is it that are we not manufacturing enough? Do we not have enough people to go into the manufacturing companies to be able to create these chips? Or is it the truck drivers? Are we missing the truck drivers to get them from point A to point B? what's going on? Like, where's the roadblock here?
Well, for me, because I'm in that sector, all the companies I talk to, not enough job orders, not enough materials. That's, and workers. So it's a combo of all. But the biggest thing is materials. They're slow sometimes. They go in big spurts. They get all the materials in, they bang it out, and then they're slow for 3 weeks. So it's a seesaw right now till we get everything back into normal. So I just hope manufacturing goes up next month and construction. That's my two. Go up.
Well, and hopefully when they do go up, I love seeing that, because we're a much stronger economy when we are producing things. And when manufacturing and construction are down, it hurts us across the board in a number of ways. So those are always good indicators if they're rising.
Exactly right. So all I can say about the job report, I'll give it a B, man. It's moving up. It's moving up, John. What do you think? I mean, we got to at least say that.
You're a generous grader, Richard, but I'll go along for the ride.
What do you think, CC? What do you think?
I agree. It's exactly what you said. I see nothing better, see nothing worse. It's getting there, but not there yet.
You're right. So now it's time to deep dive in. Miss CC, tell us about yourself, a little bit what's going on in your neck of the woods.
Well, let's see. Healthcare recruitment. I mean, healthcare recruitment, I've been in it for a couple of years now. It's interesting because, for the pandemic, all of the jobs were being sent over to the hospitals, and now the hospitals are still seeing such a great big influx of patients coming in. They themselves can't stay staffed, which in a way affects everything else when it comes to healthcare workers. And I'm concerned about what's going to happen to patient care. If we can't get enough people to come in and actually do this work, like, how do we get more people interested in this kind of line of work? Is it at the school level? Like, I don't know. Like, what do we do? How do we fix this?
I'm in the same space as you are, CC, with respect to healthcare recruitment. And yeah, there's more job openings than ever before, and not enough clinicians to staff them. So, and it's only going to get worse. I don't know if you've seen this, but over the last year, there have been a lot of healthcare professionals that are either taking a break or have left the career because they just got completely burned out from COVID. Mm-hmm. And that's only added more stress to the employment challenges within the healthcare sector. And you're right, at the end of the day, it's all about patient care. You got to provide the right ones bedside. And you've got to make sure, what people don't realize is if hospitals are understaffed, that means more patient load on each of those nurses and CNAs and all the other clinicians to tend to, which, not that they can't handle it, but they're not as effective if they've got, an 8-to-1 patient ratio when they're used to a 6-to-1. That type of thing.
Let me ask you another question, because this comes up to another problem, which is, what's more important, quantity or quality? Because if you need to staff an ASC, let's say, of 10 people, 10 RNs, I'm saying big, right? Mm-hmm. But you can only find 6, or do you hire 2 more and maybe 1 more, and then maybe not know exactly the last one is really a good fit or not, whether long term is going to, make a good addition. Like, how do you know, what's the balance between, what exactly you need and what exactly is needed to actually do the job?
First and foremost, it's got to be about competency. You've got to have, especially in the RN world, you've got to have someone that is good and passionate about their craft. And from that perspective, it's all about quality. You got to have the best in the business, mm-hmm. taking care of your loved ones. Yep. Then you've got, with staffing, when you have multiple needs, are they going direct hire perm with an ASC, which stands for those out in our listening audience? That's ambulatory service center. Those are those standalone facilities, not hospitals. Are they going perm there? Are you placing someone on a contract? With a contract nurse, you've got less of it's got to be a good environment for them, but there's less of a concern. Is it a long-term fit? Because they're probably going to go to their next contract. So there's a lot of factors involved. But I don't think you can ever sacrifice on the quality of the candidate that you put at the bedside.
Yeah, no, I completely agree
Yeah.
with you, because whenever you make a compromise, it might take you a little bit longer to make it happen, to make the right hire. But once you have the right person, it makes a world of a difference. So it's like, that's what I'm saying, like, I understand that there's definitely a shortage, but what I've learned is, when you bring someone on board and they start at a junior level and you teach them and carry them through and bring them on up, you're going to have a much better hire than someone with 10 years of outside experience.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. So the more we can do that, and you take someone under your wing, you build a lot of loyalty from that person because you're giving them their start and that opportunity. It's a great point.
Well, I have to ask both of you, and I'm not in this sector, when they have these sign-on bonuses, are they effective or not? Because I see a shortage here. When they're throwing all this money out at nurses and stuff like that, is it effective? Is it working?
I'll let you answer first, CC.
Are you talking about from the retention or from the attraction point of view?
Both. Both. Just
from the attraction point of view, of course it's gonna work. Are you kidding me? If I'm making $60,000 and you're offering me $10,000 a year, I mean, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
But just because I'm going to go doesn't mean I'm not going to read that itty bitty tiny print and figure out why it is that you need to offer me this bonus in the first place. It might be like, what, this is, I'm going to stay here for 6 months and that's it. Or 3 years. So you need to, if you're going to do that, you need to make sure your contract is tight.
Great point. Yeah, you need to make sure your exit plan isn't going to cause you to or force you to pay that bonus back. So your great point, great advice, reading the fine print. It's also, if there's one thing I've learned in healthcare is nurses love making money. So,
oh my God. Do they?
So,
and they love it.
They do. They work hard for it. So a lot of what we do is in the travel nurse sector and the per diem nurse sector. And whether it's sign-on bonus, retention bonuses, or like we saw a lot with COVID, and right now we're seeing a lot just because, to your point, CC, the hospitals are overloaded. They're just elevating like crisis rates. And if a nurse has a chance to travel to an area for rate A, but then she or he could travel to another area for rate A plus 10, they're going to take A plus 10 90% of the time, unless there's an offsetting reason why they absolutely don't want to go to that area.
There's so many options out there because everybody's so short-handed that I can literally work and make exactly the same money working 3 days a week than I could in other places where they have to work 5 days a week. It's about work-life balance. It's about, job satisfaction. If you're not satisfied with the work that you're doing, and I get it, there's certain people out there going to sit there and argue with me. A job is a job. And you know what? And that's why you'll always just be there from 8 to 5 and you're going to hate every single day of your life. Like, you don't want that. People don't want that anymore.
They want to, one of my first managers in recruiting told me years ago, find a job you love and you never have to go to work. And that's what people are in search of. And it's, some people spend their whole lives and they never find that. It's always, to your point, CC, it's always a job. And then there are others now. And I think the younger generations are more intent to do something that they enjoy doing, that has purpose, that fuels their fire and motivates them to go to work every day. They want that. They want that atmosphere. They want to be around people that they enjoy being around. And it's more than just a job. It's a lifestyle for them. So yeah, they're not settling. And they're also, we've seen a lot in the last 5 years, probably, we've seen a lot more what used to be termed job hopping, but isn't looked upon in as negative a way anymore, because now people are empowering themselves to take control of their career. And if they don't like what's going on, they just up and move. And to their credit, you can't fault them for that. Companies have to be on the uptick as far as, motivating them and providing what they need to stay there.
You're so right.
Look at that. But what I want to just jump in on about is, it's just not in healthcare. I see in the manufacturing industry now where they're having 6-hour shifts now instead of 10s, and every other weekend off and stuff like that. They're working around the job seeker, and that's the big change now. The job seeker has control of what goes on in the company. And hey, if you don't change, the companies ain't going to ever find workers. I mean, that 410, they're working 70 hours a week and getting overtime. Nobody wants that anymore. It just wears you down.
Yep, that's a great point, Richard. No, every industry is feeling this. No one's immune. And again, you're right. The candidates have the upper hand in this market, and companies need skilled talent like never before. But the companies have to realize, hey, it's not just about you should want to work here. It's, well, why should you work here? And what's in it for the candidate, and what can the candidate bring to the table? But you've got to position yourself and understand what's important to the candidate, and can you offer that? And if your strategy is, something that's stagnant, and you haven't looked at your recruiting strategy or your retention strategy in a number of years, you're going to be behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And that's one of the reasons why it's great, when you have a lot of really skilled and really experienced people that are able to see that, hey, right now, this is where we're at right now, but 5-6 months down the line, a year down the line, this is where we're going to be if we don't make a change. It's about that leadership too. If you don't have the right leaders in the right spots, they're not going to be able to make the decisions necessary to be able to be successful in these times. If you don't do anything, you're not going to be successful, period. You got to do something.
I love what you just said there. The leaders and managers need to listen to the job seekers and ask them what makes them happy instead of sitting in a boardroom. We talk about this all the time. Get on the streets and talk to them. Go out and ask them, and then your workforce is going to flourish.
You'll be much more effective leading people if you're in tune with them. You can't run it from 100% behind the desk. Those days are gone. You've got to be aware of what's going on and what your people need.
Yeah, and that's the great thing. I think the new generation coming into leadership that is in the leadership roles, right now, which, what's funny, like 10 years, like 5 years, was it 2018? We were talking about millennials being the young generation, and now the millennials are the ones that are making all the decisions. Like, it's kind of like, like
they are the dominant workforce.
We are. And, we definitely are making some great decisions out there when it comes to being able to engage our people and be able to learn their language, because again, the way a nurse thinks compared to a way a truck driver thinks compared to the way an HR person thinks to an accountant is so different, and it's up to us to be able to kind of bridge that gap. So I don't know, sometimes do you ever feel that people don't underestimate you based on what it is that you do in your profession?
Oh God, yes.
Never judge anybody, man. That's
never.
At the end of the day.
It's interesting. It's a good segue that you just mentioned Cece, because you've got a great background. If anybody hasn't seen Cece's background on LinkedIn, she's been active with SHRM, great HR background, well educated. She's been a blogger, motivational speaker. She's very well in tune with the HR community. And I noticed from a recent article that you wrote on LinkedIn, you were talking about, not doubting yourself and having a lot of self-confidence. And you also, in that article, I thought it was interesting how you shared how you got into the HR world. And I wondered if you could share that with us today.
Awesome.
Because I love that story.
It's funny. So I was a helicopter mechanic for 5 years in the military, but it wasn't me. Like, I have like zero. I was a mechanic, right, in church of mechanics that like hated, like, what's the difference between a 1/4 inch and a 3/4 wrench again? Like, do you see the difference? One is bigger and small. Like, little, like, I just hated every second of it. And then I didn't start becoming better at it until I became a leader. And that's when I went and talked to my sergeant major. And I told him, I was like, hey, because of my rank and where I was, they were going to take, my husband was going to go and be an OC, which was kind of like a leader that was going to be kind of like a trainer, kind of like someone that goes out and trains other people to do their job. And he didn't want to do that. He wanted to be a mechanic. So that's when I told my sergeant major that I didn't want to do my job and that they needed a real mechanic, which is my husband, and he took that job, and then they just put me doing HR. Like,
and little did you know that
Love
the
it.
path that you would get set on would flourish.
yeah, I mean, there was a couple of different places where they could put me, and they put me in supplies first, and then they asked me if I wanted to be in human resources after they saw me for a while. So it was interesting.
And guess what? You're going to be in it forever, right?
Yeah, I know. But it only happens in the military that somebody sits there and like imagine an employee comes up to you and says, "You know what, John? I don't want to be in HR anymore. Tell me, is there something else but totally different that I've never done before that you can throw me and let me do?" Like, how often does that happen?
You know what, though? What I like about that story and what's relatable, I believe, to the current work climate that companies need to take note of is if someone comes up and says that, the old attitude was, well, that's your job. You're not qualified for the other stuff. So you either like it or you leave. And now that can't be the mindset. If you want to retain your best people, you might have a really good person that's doing one job and they come and say, you know what, it's just not fulfilling. It's not doing it for me. What else can I do? And there's got to be an opportunity to say, all right, well, you know what are you interested in? We need people in these areas. You'll have to train, you'll have to learn, but go try those. You've got to have other options for folks that want to be in your organization,
Yes,
but just want to do something else.
Exactly.
that's key with what you said. I'm willing to bend over as an HR person. I'm willing to bend over backwards for you if I know and feel that you are actually here because you want to be here. If you don't make me feel that you're doing this and you're telling me this because you can't help but love being in my organization because I'm going to do all this work to keep you around because I want you here, and then you just blow me off, what a stab in the heart that is. And it happens all the time.
Agreed.
You can't do that to people.
So in your experiences over the course of your HR career, some HR departments within companies and organizations also recruit. Recruiting is under HR. Sometimes it's not. And sometimes you have to engage with outside recruiters like a Richard or like a me.
Right.
When that happens, what do you look for in that relationship with the third party recruiter? Because a lot of times, unfortunately, I think recruiters see HR or internal recruiters as competition when they should really be more aligned. What do you look for, and what advice could you give to folks that are trying to figure out that dynamic?
Honestly, if you can figure out how I communicate, the best way that I can communicate, that would be ideal, because it's like I get so many, like, for example, people prefer email, some people prefer text me, some people want you to send them a message through LinkedIn, some want you to Facebook, like send them messages via Facebook. Like, make it easy to communicate with me, but at the same time take the time to understand what is the best way to communicate with me.
I love that. And you know what? Something else, CC, you probably agree on. I want to know about you as much as you want to know about me. We're not stepping on each other's toes. There's no leader. We're supposed to be a team. Am I right?
Yeah, that's true. 100%.
I always found that a lot of times the external recruiter was working on the same searches that the corporate recruiter or the internal recruiter is working on. And I always thought that is sometimes what caused the friction, as opposed to saying, hey, internally, we're going to focus our resources here. Externally, we want you folks to focus on these other job needs so that we're covering all bases. What are your thoughts on that?
That makes sense to me. Like, I'm not going to sit here and, go ask for help for an agency for something that I don't need help with. Because then that kind of defeats the purpose, because then I'm sitting there like having you spin your wheel, and at the same time I'm spinning my wheel, and then we end up clashing, and the relationship doesn't work. So no, like what you said is the way it should be. Like, I used to work for for an agency, and a staffing agency for a while there. And I used to be, work for the organization. As the organization, they would give me entire requisitions, and I would work the requisitions, use their systems, and I would just get a login and a password. But I was the staffing agency's recruiter. I had your email address. It was like I was a part of your organization, so it worked out great.
That's awesome. It can be a fruitful relationship. It can be a great union. I think sometimes people are so afraid because they've got this predetermined stereotype, if you will, that, oh my gosh, recruiters and HR can't get along. When in reality, the best relationships are when they do get along and they understand each other's value and what they bring to the table. A lot of times it's ego on the recruiter side. I'll fully admit that, where they figure, hey, this is what we do it best, and
exactly
that type of thing.
100%
all ego, people. We're all equal.
Recruiters are salespeople. Come on. We are the HR salespeople. That's what we do. We sell our organization. We make sure that the best foot forward is always there. Like, that is my job. Put my organization in a pretty box and say, open the box. Here's a present. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Wow, that's the recruiters for you. I'm not a recruiter, John. I'm a job agent. There's a difference. I don't sell anything besides myself, right?
Richard's got a family he's building. That's what he's building.
Yeah, my workforce family. I got to ask you real quick, CC, since we're on this subject, do you have a great story you can tell us about your HR, like working with a worker or something like that? A good story, inspirational.
Oh gosh, I don't know. It's been a while because there's been so many different ways that you impact people that it's kind of like, do I go down the God, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about this one. Actually, okay.
Okay, I can play the Jeopardy song for a little bit.
There was this one. This was back when I was in manufacturing. I was really, really close with the supervisors, and I kind of met one of the operations production people, and I saw like a senior operations person, and then I went ahead and I helped her kind of navigate through the interview process to get her the lead job, which it doesn't seem like such a big deal, but it's like when you kind of see your own little your employee that you hire from the bottom like climb up through the ranks, you kind of feel a little bit of sense of pride. Like, you know what? You really made a difference. Like, they actually listened to you, because when you're looking externally, which you do, you're out there talking to people, doing different things. So you get good ideas on what maybe your organization needs to do, which is why, it's great when you're in an organization where people like me are respected, and listened to, because I'm able to talk to you guys, and then I'm going to ask you, what is your biggest hurdle that you're facing right now?
That is so huge. Companies need to, and professionals within those organizations need to network with folks that are doing the same jobs at other companies, because, hey, we all have to learn together. No one can do it alone. No one should think that they have to do it alone. Can't operate in the bubble. Throughout everyone's career, the only way you grow is by sharing challenges and successes and being able to spread that wealth and maybe try and prevent someone else from having a pitfall that you encountered.
That's exactly why I blog too. I'm like, whenever I have something that's happened to me, and you know what, I want to share this, let's blog about it, because sometimes, what is the point of doing that when you're not able to share? I don't know.
I agree totally. What are some things? I have one more question on the HR recruiting relationship. What do you not like? If you're working if you're in HR and you're working with an outside recruiter to help you find talent, what are some things where you'd say, hey, here's some advice to recruiters on things that's going to turn me off or turn HR off? Don't do this type of thing.
Don't call me every single day. That's it. That's it. Don't call me every single day. Please, just don't.
Oh.
For every little tiny thing,
Hey,
don't.
CC, I got candidates for you.
Well, that gets back to your saying that, hey, just understand how I want to be communicated with. So I get that. It's all about understanding what kind of cadence is expected and how you're going to work well together. So I can appreciate that.
And we all have to know that, John, that I'm sure, CC, you get blown up by staffing firms and different people all the time, right?
Yes, and I just
over and over.
I'm telling you, if it wasn't for the fact that I have such an amazing team, like I wouldn't be as happy as I am right now. So that's all that matters, right?
That's awesome.
One thing I got to ask you real quick, recruiters out there, what annoys you? Did you get the same email over and over, the same template every day, or what? You have a couple of like quick stories about that before we go?
Okay, so I cannot stand it when people send me the same old cookie cutter email and there is nothing about me whatsoever, and I'm like, so I don't feel special. What filter did you use to find me to just like mass email me and not even think about me? And I can tell because it says Cecilia parentheses CC. I'm like, if you were to read, you would just write CC. Like, you already gone and done with me before you even wrote my name. Like, I already know.
We are in an age of uber personalization, and if you're a recruiter reaching out to somebody, the days of mass emailing and form letters, so to speak, they're gone. You've got to find something unique in that person's background to show that you put in a little bit of effort. I totally agree with you. It's you may as well put dear, insert your name.
Yeah, totally. And you need to understand that you're in a place where everybody is, kind of off in their own little island. So being able to reach out to other people are even more open now than they were a year ago. I'm more willing to be more open because you know what? Over the past 2 years, my life has been hard. I know it hasn't even been a year. Has it been a year yet? It's been a year and a couple of months, but it seems like it's been forever.
Oh
yeah, there's been a lot of challenges that everybody's faced some sort of challenge, and I think we have to be empathetic to that when we're talking to people.
Yeah.
Again, that judgment-free zone and kind of figure out what's up. And I also think that as a business community, we have to be accepting and willing to bring people on. Again, we need talent. Maybe you have a role. There are some roles with companies. Okay, then the skills that people bring are irreplaceable. You can't substitute. You need someone who knows what they're doing. But there are other jobs and roles where you can let them work themselves into the job and you can train them, give them the opportunity when they may have been without opportunity for the last year. So if they're willing to work and want to come work for you, I think you got to be open to bending a little bit on what you're looking for and just find good quality people that are willing to put in the effort to learn what you need them to do.
100% agree with you there.
Love it.
All right.
Hey, John, final thoughts, man, on our episode today with CC.
Final thoughts. I can't thank you enough, CC, for being on. And both of us, of course, thank you for your service to our country.
Yes.
I hope that, I'm glad I wasn't flying on any of the helicopters you worked on because you didn't like being a mechanic. So I don't know how solid that makes sense.
I knew he was going to say that. You took my line, John.
No, but he did. And they hate you. I hated it too. Clark touched that thing. I'm not flying. Nope.
No, but in all seriousness, if you're a recruiter, what I took away from this, amongst other things, if you're a recruiter and you're looking to work effectively with HR, team with them, learn about them, learn how they want to communicate, and just make it easy to do business with them, and you'll have success. If you buck the system, you're going to be just like, unfortunately, most of your other competition. So be different and work with your HR professionals, not against them.
Totally true. CC, any final thoughts? And tell everybody where they can reach you out on social media.
Oh, God. Okay. So you can reach me on social media at Cecilia Clark. 0923. If you find me on Twitter, you can find me on Facebook, you can find me on LinkedIn. You caught me off guard on that one. I'm like, those social media things.
That's okay.
I'm just a one media person. I just do LinkedIn. Instagram, I can't keep up with. Facebook, forget it. Can't do it.
I love it. Well, once again, Cece, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
I learned today was one simple thing. Recruiters and HR, I'm going to sing it. It's a Smash Mouth song. Why can't we be friends, right?
I know. That's exactly what I think. We should just be friends. What's up with all this ridiculous competition? Like, come on. Like, you know what? I need people. You need people. We all need people. Like, it's almost a song. Like, you know.
Love it.
Why are we fighting? Like, let's all come together. I'm even thinking I would love to do another recruiting or a fertility or a healthcare specific really awesome conference where you get some really smart people to talk about some of these things and we stop fighting about it. Just
there
say.
It is.
I like it.
Well, till next time, next week, same place, same time with another super guest. Till then, take care, guys.
Have a good one. Thanks, CC.
Bye.